The 2024 GMC Hummer EV SUV is equally outlandish as the truck version that came before it, packing 830 horsepower and 1,200 pounds-to-foot of torque, sporting 35-inch off-road tires, and reaching 60 miles per hour in 3.5 seconds. Although it isn't the most effective electric people mover ever created, the Hummer lives up to its name by being the most tough-looking SUV in your Whole Foods parking lot and having incredible off-road capability. GMC has started sending the eagerly anticipated SUV to dealers in tandem with the Hummer pickup, which is now arriving in owners' hands on a more consistent basis. Inside, a comfortable and familiar environment greets you. The Hummer SUV and pickup are identical from the C-pillar forward. Screens, powered by the Unreal Engine, the 3D graphics system used to build many popular video games, and made in partnership with Perception, a creative studio best recognized for work inside the Marvel movie world. Wow, with their incredibly sharp and detailed graphics and animations. Most operations are controlled by the 13.4-inch infotainment screen, which is easy to use and highly responsive. Even though the steering wheel partially obscures some of the most crucial information, such as the speedometer in various display modes, you still appreciate the huge 12.3-inch driver information display. Apart from being identical to that of the pickup, the interior is comfortable and partly constructed using Sierra parts. The key fob, seats, console, and shifter are all Sierra branded. Large physical buttons, thick grab handles, wide horizontal lines, and vinyl accents give the cabin a tough appearance, but gold accents add a sense of elegance. But it would be preferable if the plastic-based accents were replaced with metal ones. This SUV's inside is noisy, just like the pickup. Wind noise seems to be on par with or worse than that of a hardtop Ford Bronco or Jeep Wrangler. With the 22-inch wheels, you have to put up with a lot of road noise, while with 18s, you get to enjoy a mud-terrain symphony. Then there's the perpetually playing futuristic effect, which at times sounds like a combination between Tron and George Jetson's spaceship. Sure, this is a bit of a throwback, but it's the best description. As soon as you press the accelerator, a techno V8 growl can also be heard. Want to use the radio to block it out? Good luck with anything other than podcast listening on the go. Bose quality is gone. The Hummer SUV's wheelbase is 9 inches shorter than the pickups, but because both vehicles are constructed on the modular Ultium platform, there are 4 less battery modules, 20 as opposed to 24, available. A battery pack with approximately 170 kilowatt-hours of useful storage is the end result, our estimate. Neither GM nor the EPA has released official figures. At this capacity, GM aims for a 300-mile range, which isn't a huge decrease from the Hummer pickup's 329-mile range, according to GMC. We drove roughly 200 miles of asphalt during our time behind the wheel, a decent mix of freeway, 2-lane, winding mountain, and congested urban roads. The battery was roughly 80% when we started our chilly, rainy spring drive, and it was only about 15% when we got there. Considering those figures, GM's 300-mile prediction might be a little too modest. The smart battery technology from General Motors, GM, is standard on Edition 1 Hummer SUVs and allows for the use of 800-volt DC fast chargers at speeds of up to 300 kilowatts, slightly less than the pickup's 350 kilowatt capability due to the smaller battery size. In practice, this implies that the Hummer SUV may add 100 miles of range in as little as 14 minutes, if the charger is capable of handling it. The charging mechanism is also made to work with existing 400-volt infrastructure, so no converter box or other accessories are required. The SUV can accept the newest 19.2 kilowatt Level 2 chargers, which will please those who wish to charge their devices at home. The Hummer SUV may theoretically be charged from empty to full using this L2 technology in around 8 hours. It would take almost a full day to put up a typical 7.2 kilowatt system. You've been made aware. Power can also be exported by the Hummer vehicle. It may power a range of tools or accessories at 120 volts/25 amps/3 kilowatts using the supplied power station, or it can jump charge another EV at 240 volts/25 amps/6 kilowatts. The vehicle does this by converting DC energy from the battery pack to AC and sending it out the charging port. To make this function easier, an auxiliary cable with switchable connectors will be offered. The outrageous watts to freedom launch control, which provides maximum straight-line performance, is the Hummer EV SUV's ultimate party trick. When the battery is fully charged, the almost 9,000-pound SUV accelerates from 0 to 60 miles per hour in under 3.5 seconds. The Hummer needs to be turned on and in park in order to activate WTF mode. The system comes to life with slick animations splashed across the screens, a rumble of the driver's seat through its haptic feedback, and dramatic sounds blasted through the audio system with only a simple double tap of the dash-mounted traction control button. The battery pack and motors will start to precondition at the same time, and the Hummer will lower the ride height by around 3.5 inches to its lowest setting. All of this occurs very quickly. With a Hummer-powered dragstrip Christmas tree and plenty of rain from California's most recent atmospheric river occurrence, GMC blocked a private stretch of road for us to experience WTF. Upon approaching the line, a visual on the driver information display shows whether the system is ready to use or in standby. We stomped the accelerator after pressing the brake pedal while it was armed. Pull off the brake and the tri-motor Hummer flies forward with an adequate amount of spin from all four of the 35-inch tires, squeezing its passengers firmly into the backrests of their seats. Without applying the friction brakes, the Hummer can be brought back to a reasonable speed by releasing the accelerator while one pedal drive is engaged. The really exciting element is this: because to the traction control system's intelligence, the car can evaluate wheel slip on launch and compensate for it on successive passes, becoming quicker as it gains experience. In the wet, our first WTF run caused a lot of wheel spin and required significant steering input to stay straight, but by the third or fourth hit, the Hummer was consistently clocking sub-4-second runs with no fuss. And although the impact is greatest when the battery is fully charged, according to GM engineers, the Hummer only loses 1 second on the stopwatch when the pack is halfway empty, and you may utilize WTF until the battery is almost completely flat. You might be tempted to imagine that the Hummer SUV would have highway chops to match its six-figure price tag and more than 800 horsepower. Contrarily, rather than feeling like the supertruck GMC promotes it as, it feels more like an amusement park ride. The way the vehicle pitches, dives, and yawns will have the driver smiling at the madness as passengers grip at grab handles. Every bodily movement feels crazily exaggerated. The Hummer squats erratically, the nose heaves upward, and the SUV rockets ahead in a buzz of space-age noises, the majority of which are amplified through the audio system, with a hard press of the pedal. The SUV handles with an exceptional level of serenity despite the general softness of the suspension due of the car's incredibly low center of gravity. The chassis easily handles narrow, winding roads even as the body wobbles back and forth. The steering has a decent balance of weight and input and is responsive. Big bumps and light road undulations are easily absorbed by the adjustable air suspension. However, we found that the suspension is less able to absorb minor, high-frequency bumps when paired with 22-inch wheels and low-profile tires, conveying more of the vibrations through the cabin than in Hummers supplied with 18-inchers. When you first get into the Hummer, it could take you a few miles to get acclimated to how the rear steering feels. It steers at a ratio of 0.3 to 1 of front angle in regular drive modes, which is perceptible even though it isn't unduly harsh. The capacity to make exceedingly tight turns at low speeds is made possible by the rear wheels moving at an angle to the front ones. Parking lots and congested urban areas are no problem for the comparatively large Hummer SUV. For increased stability on highways, the rear tires convert to turning in unison with the front. Luckily, the incredible crab walk feature, which was first introduced on the Hummer pickup, is back. The rear wheels can match the front steering angle, in phase, up to the full 10 degrees of motion, thanks to this capability, which is activated by applying prolonged pressure to the crab walk button on the driving mode selector. Crab walk's usefulness depending on the situation. Imagine this: you're driving up a rocky, off-camber trail when all of a sudden a boulder blocks your path. Sadly, the truck's rear end begins to slide down the slope due to your rear locking differential. If it weren't for that annoying rock, this wouldn't be a problem. Well, if you know how to crab, you can easily crab walk up the slope and around the obstruction by rotating the rear wheels in the same way as the front. But that's okay because we already know that the feature will be employed far more frequently to dazzle people in mall parking lots. The Hummer SUV is a hoot on the highway, but the real fun starts when the asphalt gives way to dirt. The Hummer SUV features an approach angle of 49.6 degrees, a breakover angle of 34.4 degrees, and a departure angle of 45.6 degrees, which are comparable to those of Jeep's Wrangler Rubicon. The departure angle increases to 49.0 degrees when the spare tire is removed. It can climb an 18-inch vertical wall, ford up to 32 inches of water, and has up to 16 inches of ground clearance and 13 inches of wheel travel. The two off-road focused drive modes also cannot be disregarded. The Hummer SUV has off-road and terrain settings in addition to normal, tow/haul, and the user-configurable My modes. The three submods, WTF, Crab Walk, and Extract, are not counted by GMC in the total. What distinguishes the off-road and terrain drive modes then? The Hummer's many drive modes have an impact on the torque distribution, steering, ride height, shock damping, braking, and improved interior sound. The default setting for general off-road driving, off-road mode offers a decent balance of enhanced damping, a sensitive but controllable accelerator, increased rear steering, 0.6 to 1 of front angle, and a more aggressive rear virtual locking differential. By softening throttle inputs for better power delivery in hill and rock climbing scenarios, terrain, the Hummer's most capable off-road drive mode kicks everything up a notch. In addition to having the most extreme traction control and rear locking settings, it provides softer shock damping for improved articulation than an off-road mode. The terrain mode is most impressive because it also raises the rear steering angle to 1.2 times the front angle, allowing the rear axle to oversteer the front. At Hamtramck, Michigan, GM's Factory Zero produces the Hummer vehicle. Edition 1 models are being produced first to expedite the process. After that version's run is finished, the business will proceed to the other trims in decreasing order. Following the Edition 1 will be the mechanically comparable EVX and the 2-motor EV2X. Early in 2024, the lower range, 2-motor basic EV2 will complete the portfolio.